Hi, I'm Kim the Abundant Traveler and welcome to the channel. This video is all about getting on your first flight and going to some incredible destination. If you've never flown before, this is a perfect video for you. I have been to more than 65 countries. I have traveled tens and tens of thousands of miles all over this world, and I know exactly how to take your first flight. I know all the tips, tricks, and hacks, as well as what to carry and how to go through the process to have a smooth and easygoing flight. So make sure to click that red button, that's the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. We're going to assume you already have your plane ticket because that is a whole other video and a whole other subject. There are a couple of things I would check online prior to your flight. One is check your airline and download the app for your particular airline onto your phone. I also suggest that you go to tsa.gov to see what things you can bring with you on the plane. There are different things that you can bring in your carry-on versus things that you can pack inside of your suitcase that go in the belly of the plane. So you want to know exactly what you can and cannot bring. Normally 24 hours before your flight, you are allowed to check in. This is a definite must. In fact, some of the airlines will just put you on standby if you don't check in 24 hours in advance. So make sure to check in. When you check in online, you can do it on the app that you've downloaded on your phone, or you can do it through the website. You can change your seats. You can make sure and double check where you are, whether it's a window or an aisle seat. You can see if there are any changes to your flight schedule as well, so it's extremely important. Also, one little tip is make sure once you finish checking in, you take a screenshot on your phone of the QR code, which will be your boarding pass once you get to the airport. So let's talk a little bit about seats on the airplane. The typical plane, there are no typical planes, but you typically find a aisle, window, and middle seat on both sides of the main aisle. So the suggestion is if you like to lean and you get hot, then I recommend going to the window seat. Me, on international flights, I take the window seat so I can lean against the window and sleep. If you like a little more leg room and a little more space, then I recommend you take the aisle seat. The thing with the aisle seat is you're likely to get bumped by passerbyers as well as possibly the flight attendants. They don't mean to, but possibly the flight attendants as they go by. The hardest seat to sit in where you don't have any elbow room is the middle seat. So if you can stay away from the middle seat, that's a good idea. If you want to see specific seats and the best seats in the house on your particular airplane, then I recommend using Seat Guru. It is a great app or a great website. Also, if you tend to get a little woozy or motion sickness, the airplane is typically a little more stable in the front of the plane than it is at the back of the plane. I also suggest you don't want to be right next to the bathroom for obvious reasons. And now let's talk about the luggage you can take with you. In checked luggage, you can have up to 50 pounds typically. You can have 62 linear inches, and I promise they're gonna charge you if you're overweight or oversized, so be very careful about that. You can also have 2 carry-ons. One has to fit in the above compartment above your seat, and it can only be 35 pounds. Now these are US sizes for a major airline. Each airline is different, so you wanna check their airline website to make sure you know the specific requirements for the particular airline that you're flying. The above your head, 35 pounds, approximately 22 by 19. I suggest getting a soft-sided suitcase, so in case it's a little stuffed, you can squish it, whereas hard-sided does not squish. You can also have one personal item. That is a purse, a briefcase, a backpack, and that actually needs to fit underneath your seat in front of you. So if you want a little extra leg room, have a small personal item. If you don't care about your leg room, stuff that under your seat, stuff as much as you can under there. Something to note about carry-ons is the 3-1-1 rule. That is, you can only bring 1 quart-size clear bag of liquids with you on your carry-on. And each liquid bottle has to be 3.4 ounces or less, or 100 mils. If you're interested, you can go to like CVS or Amazon and buy carry-on size liquid bottles, and you can put all of your shampoo, etc. in there. Make sure you pay attention to that, because a guy guys checking you at security will throw your things out. I promise they'll throw them out. Now let's talk about identification and clothes that you're going to be wearing on the plane. Identification as of May 7th, 2023 must be a real ID. That's the one with a gold star on your driver's license. Make sure you have that, or a valid passport. And if you're traveling overseas, that valid passport has to have at least 6 months left on it to be valid, or it's possible they won't let you fly. Airplanes are either burning up or they're freezing, and honestly, most of the time they're freezing. I suggest that you bring layers. I always wear long pants. I personally never wear a skirt because I fidget around in the chair and I don't want to have a skirt, even a long skirt. I typically bring a light jacket with me. Have shoes that are easy to get on and off, like slip-on shoes. That's not only for the airplane, but it is also for security as well, because you're typically gonna have to pull off your shoes unless you have TSA pre-check when you go through security. Since I fly so much, I have my special bag just for my carry-on. If you are interested in knowing what I put in my carry-on for all of my flights, both long-haul flights and domestic flights, make sure to go to the description below and download my free guide. It's got everything, I promise. You're not gonna need a single thing more than what's in this guide. Now it's the day of departure and you're ready to fly. You are good to go. First suggestion is getting to the airport 2 hours in advance. Getting there 1 hour is not enough. 3 hours is too much unless you're on an international flight and they require you to get there 3 hours in advance. Typically with airports, the departures are on the second level and arrivals are on the first level. So you will be coming in on the second level. If you're in a taxi or Uber, they will drop you off at the front door. In the United States, at the front door, above the doors, you will see the airline. So American or Delta or United. So you can be dropped off at that specific door. If you are parking, then I suggest doing off-site parking, like with Fast Park or Parking Spot. And sometimes you have to reserve the place in advance. So go to their websites and check what their requirements are. Parking off-site is less expensive, and also typically it is door to door. So they'll have a van pick you up right at your car and they will drop you off at the front door. So it's extremely convenient, and it's a little more convenient and less expensive than parking typically at the airport, especially in Austin where I live. Now you're gonna walk up to the ticket counter for your particular airline. You walk up and there are going to be these kiosks there where you can put in either your record locator, which is your flight. It's usually a 6-digit code. You can put in your credit card or your passport, and it'll walk you through the process of checking in. Even though you checked in the night before, 24 hours before, you wanna drop your luggage and recheck in. I do suggest also that even though you have a boarding pass on your screenshot on your phone, I do suggest that you go ahead and print an extra copy. You never know when your phone is gonna run out of battery or something happens to it or you drop it in a sink or something. So print your boarding pass. What it'll do is it'll print out your boarding pass. It will also print out how many bags that you have that you're going to check. And if there's a charge for those bags, you can put in your credit card and pay for that at that time. There will be a sticky string that comes out, and it is your bag tag. If you don't know how to put that on, ask for assistance. It's relatively easy because the long part peels off and then there's a little part that you keep. Make sure to keep the little part. That is your record of your luggage and where it is, and in case it gets lost by the airline, you have to have that record locator or your bag tag locator. Very, very important. So now that you have all of those, you walk up to the counter, you smile, you tell the service people working for the airline, thank you so much for your help, and you drop your bag. When you drop your bag, the airline employee will also ask for identification. So make sure to keep that out for that, as well as keep it out for security. And what a doozy security can be. Just be prepared for long lines. Hence, that's why I said be there 2 hours in advance. Before you go through security, make sure that you have all of your liquids under 3.4 ounces all together in 1 quart size bag, the 3-1-1 rule. Make sure you did not buy a bottle of water because you're gonna have to pour it out before you go through security. It's easy to bring an empty water bottle and fill it up once you're past security, but don't buy a bottle before, just bad. And also water's so expensive, so definitely don't pay $5 for a water just to pour it out. Now that you don't have any liquids, I also suggest with your clothing, do not wear lots of metal, big heavy belts, big jewelry, etc., because it will set off the alarms and then you will be pulled to the side and have to have the security guys do a wand over you to make sure that you are not carrying anything that is dangerous for other passengers or yourself on your flight. There are typically 2 lines for security and sometimes 3. One is the regular line for all of us who are normal people. There is also TSA pre-check, which is a verified identification, which sometimes the line is a little bit quicker. Also, you don't have to pull your computer out or take off your shoes. There is also a clear line, and clear is about $180 a year for that, and it is a line that gets you through lickety split. So if you are going to be flying a lot, maybe TSA or clear is the way for you, but your first flight, you're going to be standing in the regular line. You will present the TSA officer with your identification and your boarding pass, and they will take a look at your face, they will verify your name, and then they will pass you through. The next step with security are these conveyor belts and putting your things out and about and organizing them. First and foremost, you're gonna have to take off your shoes. You're gonna have to pull out your computer and your iPad. Make sure you don't have any liquids as well. Typically, they will have boxes for you to put your computer in and your belt and your coins, your jacket. You're gonna have to pull off jackets and vests and scarves, etc. Put at the front of the conveyor belt the things you want to do first. So if you wanna put your sweater on and your shoes on, then put your shoes and your sweater at the front of the conveyor belt. Next, I would put my computer, because you're gonna pick up your computer before your carry-on bag, and then once your carry-on bag comes out, then you can slide your computer right in your carry-on bag, zip it up, and you are good to go and walk out the door. Now that you put everything on the conveyor belt, it is your turn to go through the metal detector. It's usually relatively easy. There's 2 ways. One, it's like a regular metal detector. You just walk through when the officer shuttles you through, or it's a machine that sort of does like this, and you go and you stand like this, which is kind of bizarre. If there are any issues, then they will pull you aside and they will wand you, which is not a big deal. Sometimes they will also check your hands for any residue. It happens to people all of the time, and I would say it happens to me probably once every 60 days or so. Sometimes your luggage will also get pulled aside. Not to worry, not a big deal. It happens all the time. Don't worry about it. I get pulled over with my carry-on all the time because I carry a small tripod, and sometimes they think it's dangerous. Not a big deal. Just do what the TSA officer suggests that you do, and before you know it, you'll be on your way. Now that we're through security, it's time to go find your gate. I suggest that you go find your gate first. Even if you haven't a lot of extra time, you may have extra time and can go eat and drink and shop, but find your gate first. I also think it's best to go ahead and allow your airline to give you notifications. That way, no matter what you're doing at the airport, you will get a notification for a gate change or a delay in your flight. I also think that it is best to find your gate in advance and do your shopping and your eating right around that area, because some airports are so big that it takes you 30 to 40 minutes to get from the check-in place all the way out to your gate. So you may have thought you had a lot of time, but you actually don't. So go ahead and get to your gate, make it easy on yourself. Let's talk about finding the gate as well. In the United States, we have all departures listed in the name of the city. So it goes Austin and Baltimore and Denver, and then it goes to, say, Paris. But in Europe and other parts of the world, it is listed, the departure sign up above is listed in the time that the flight leaves. So make sure to check your boarding pass for the time that the flight leaves, because it may say 10 a.m., 10:15, 10:20, 10:30. Also, most of the world uses a 24-hour clock, so note in the afternoon that 1600 is actually 4 p.m. Now that you have your snacks, your water, your coffee, your goodies that you purchased, it is time to board. Most airlines will board 35 to 45 minutes in advance. The bigger planes will board earlier, and an airline like Southwest usually boards with about 30 minutes. So be sure to be around your gate at that time. Right before you board, this is a time to organize your carry-on and your personal item. Typically, your carry-on is going to go up above you, which is harder to get once the plane takes off. And so you want to put your book, your glasses, your scarf, everything that you're gonna need for the flight in your personal item that will fit underneath the seat that is easy to get. Most other airlines have boarding groups 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's either based on the back of the plane, the front of the plane, the window, the aisle. I'm not sure how each airline does it specifically. I do know that the boarding group number 1 is always the first class. So you are going to stand in line, and then it's assigned seating, so it doesn't matter where you end up in your boarding group. It's okay. The only concern you're gonna have is if you're in group 5 or 6, you're gonna have trouble finding space on the airplane for your carry-on up above because spaces always fill up. So you're going to walk up to the front to the employee working at the gate. Remember to be nice to them. They've had a hard day typically, and they work so hard. So thank y'all very much. Give them your boarding pass and your ID, and then you're going to be walking down the gangplank to go to the airplane. Once you're on the airplane, you're going to be greeted with flight attendants. Sometimes you are lucky and you're going to see the captain standing there as well. You're going to go down the aisle with your carry-on and your personal item, and you're going to find your seat. You're going to look up above each seat. You're going to see where you can put your carry-on here, and then there are going to be the rows and the numbers and the seat assignments on just below the carry-on section. So you're gonna find your seat, you're gonna get out of the way as quickly as possible, put your things up, and then sit down and then get organized. That is it. You are now on the plane. Congratulations, you're about to take off. On that flight, the flight attendants will help you with how to put on your seatbelt, what to do in case of emergency as well. So enjoy your flight. Enjoy it. I suggest getting a window seat your first flight so you can see the world go by out the window. It's incredible to watch the world go by, mountains and oceans and everything, and I love it, and I always sit in the window seat just to enjoy your flight and have a wonderful time. Once the flight arrives and the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign, then you're allowed to get up, grab your items, your carry-on and your personal item, and exit the airplane. Make sure to say thank you to the flight attendants. And the next step is passing through all of the people in the airport and going to baggage claim. Once you get to baggage claim, which I mentioned before is typically on the first floor of an airport, you're going to find the baggage claim number, which is like the flight coming from Austin is on belt number 2. So you're gonna go to 2, you're simply gonna wait for your luggage. Once you get to baggage claim and you have found your bag, you pull it off the conveyor belt and just double check that it is actually your bag. Check your luggage tag, check the little baggage claim ticket to make sure it is yours. What I do is I have a yellow bandana that is on my luggage, so I know, even though it's a black piece of luggage, I know exactly which one is mine. So that's it. Congratulations, you have flown your first flight. What an accomplishment. If you're interested in learning more about flights, what I carry, how to do it, what to do for a long haul flight, make sure to check out my other videos on flying. I am Kim, the Abundant Traveler. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on some flight to some exotic location very soon. Keep watching.